Hey, Del Rio, make some noise. So by applause, do you folks listen to Coast AM? Then you probably know your host for the meet and greet. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for 3-time Emmy Award winner and your host of Coast to Coast AM, Mr. George Noory.
Hello again. Great to be here with you. Where are you all from? You all from Texas? The home state of Alex Jones. Alex is one of a kind. Do you all listen to Alex's program? He is something else. I remember years ago when somebody just called my program during open lines and said, "Hey, George, you got to have this Alex Jones guy on the air." And I said, "Who?" And he said, "Alex Jones, you haven't heard him?" And I went, "No." I mean, I'm talking about this was years ago. And so I gave him a listen, and I went, you know what? He'd be a great fit for what we're trying to do here. And that's watch your back. And so I put him on, and we've been dear friends ever since. He goes to a lot of events with me all around the country. Sometimes he can't physically make it, so he shows up via Skype. And regular basis, regular more than 3 times a week. Good for you. And insiders, 15 cents a day. I can't believe it is now 12 years since I've been doing this program full-time for the network. 12 years and 14 years when I was filling in for Art. Where does the time go? It's just truly unbelievable. But what we've done over the years is we've tweaked the program a little bit. In the past, it was about 95% strictly paranormal, which is our base, it's our staple, it'll always be there. But I started seeing some things happening in this country after the tragic events of 9/11. And I sat down with our producers like Tom and said, "Tom, there are too many things happening on this planet right now. I love Bigfoot shows. I love UFO programs. Interviewing people like Noory and Ruben and Jim Mars, those are incredible shows. But I said, we need to take it a step further because we as people are losing something in this country. We're losing our ability to keep our voice heard." And he said, "Well, what do you mean? Explain that." I said, "We're going to lose rights. Government's going to spy on us more and more. The Federal Reserve wants to control what we do, what we earn, where the money comes from." And I said, it's going to get worse, not better. We need to address that on this program. And like Alex Jones has, we need to always watch your back. And so that's what we did with the program. We evolved it. It is now, thanks to all of you, and as Brad had mentioned, we're on 600 stations. We're at 440 13 years ago. Millions of people worldwide are listening to this program because we cut to the chase. You know, we question big pharma. We question big government. We question everything. Many times, just happened a couple days ago, we had a guest on the air who was into something very controversial. Click. He's off the air. We didn't know what was wrong with him. We called him back. He didn't answer his phone. he thought he was on. He said, "George, I just thought you were being courteous, letting me talk." And I said, "No, something happened." That's happened to us maybe a half a dozen times already, where a guest is really controversial, gets into a topic, and then he merely disappears. Somebody's listening, and somebody doesn't like what they hear because we're getting close. And so the pledge that we will make to you is that we're not going to give up. We're going to constantly cover the kinds of stories that affect all of us, whether it's health-related or financial or conspiratorial, as Jim Mars so eloquently does, trying to investigate the JFK assassination, which happened in this wonderful state. We won't stop doing stories like that. That, I promise you. If this is somebody's idea of a Mexican sombrero, I'm not wearing it. One of my old favorite movies, the movie Network, played by the late Peter Finch, Howard Beale. And I tend to do this at events once in a while because it's got a cleansing effect. So all of you who have the capability of standing, some of you may not be able to, stand up. Stand up. Favorite phrase of Howard Beale was, "I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." So we're going to count to 3, and at that point, I want you to scream out, and we'll do it 3 times. "I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." I guarantee you, you'll feel better. Probably feel good now. Well, I hope you do. And then we'll continue with the program. 1, 2, 3. "I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." 1, 2, 3. "I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." We'll do it one more time. I think you can do it a little better. 1, 2, 3, go. You feel better? I didn't say sit yet. That's okay. Compliments of producer Tom Danheiser. Underneath one of your chairs is a sticker for $1,000. You may look. It's a little yellow sticker. I bet I could have them walk off a cliff. I'm kidding. See, I don't get a chance to do this on a radio show. Wait till you hear one of my next jokes. 3 guys died. And they went up to heaven, right? And they see good old St. Peter at the pearly gates, and they go, "Oh, St. Peter, let us in." And he said, "I'm sorry, we're booked to the gills. The only people that are coming in here today are people who died very mysteriously. That's it. So you, number 1, tell me your story." And he said, "Well, okay." He said, "For years, I suspected that my wife might have been playing around. So we live on the 24th floor of a New York high-rise, and I left work early because I knew I was going to catch her. So I go up to my apartment. I kind of hear noises going around inside. I burst in, and St. Peter, she's out there in the bedroom, in the bed, alone. I felt like an idiot. She said, honey, what are you doing here? And I went, oh, nothing, nothing. And St. Peter, I felt so foolish. I went outside on the balcony just to catch my breath and to compose myself. I mean, I really felt like an idiot. And as I'm looking around the skyline of New York, I look down and there are fingers holding onto the ledge with a guy wearing just shorts. And I was furious. I started stamping on his fingers. St. Peter, he wouldn't let go. I'm stamping again. He wouldn't let go. So I go in the house and I get a hammer. I start hammering his fingers, and he lets go. He falls 24 floors into some bushes. And he's alive and he's up looking at me. So I went into the kitchen and got our refrigerator. And I heaved it out over the balcony, and it lands right on him. But St. Peter, I died of a heart attack. St. Peter says, geez, you come on in. Goes up to the second guy and says, what happened to you? He said, I have no idea. I live on the 25th floor of a New York apartment. And I was out doing my exercises on the balcony, and a gust of wind blows me off. Thank God I caught the ledge. I caught the ledge on the 24th floor. And I'm screaming, God, help me. Somebody help me. Just then, my prayers were answered, St. Peter. A guy comes out of his apartment. But then he starts stepping on my fingers. He goes and gets a hammer. He's smashing my fingers. I couldn't hold on anymore. I let go. I fall the 24 floors. But thank God I landed in bushes. I was alive. I looked up and I get hit by a refrigerator. And Peter says, Jesus, come on in. He goes up to the last guy and goes, all right, what happened to you? He says, I don't know. Picture this. I'm hiding in a refrigerator. It's one of my favorites. Life is strange, isn't it? Hey, sometimes I sing at these events. I don't know if the audio guy can hear us. Can he hear us up there? What's his name? Can you hear me up there? You see, he can hear. Why don't you go up and see if they can get that song ready? Yeah, somebody said yes up there. Say yes again. Maybe it's somebody in the crowd. They're pulling our legs, Tom. Did you ever hear of an audio guy who can't hear you? Is he watching me up there? Is he doing anything up there? What's your name? Is that him? They're all playing jokes on me. Yeah, he's in a refrigerator, exactly. So I'm going to the Alamo tomorrow. How many have seen that? Oh, lots. My guess, it's much smaller than I think, isn't it? I mean, to think of how much history has been done out there, and I'll take a look at it, and it'll be a small little place of history. But I'm looking forward to that. Tom and I are going out there. I remember when I flew over Pearl Harbor in Oahu in Hawaii, and you're looking down thinking this is where World War II for us started, and it was so small. It's really just inspiring just to be able to see that. But why don't you go up there and see if you can get him to get that going? Can't Help Falling in Love? The karaoke version, of course. I don't want to sing it with Elvis's voice. So in this meet and greet, I try to keep it very informal. After we're all done, I'll come down there and pose for pictures and all that stuff. And you know what? They're free. I don't charge for those. I was at an event, and a little boy went up to a, at the time, well-known baseball player. I won't mention his name. And asked him if he would sign his baseball card. And the guy said, "No, you don't have enough money." A little 5-year-old kid. And so I have told all our folks, never, ever do you charge people for pictures or anything. You know, it's enough that you pay for the event to come in here. And that's another creed. As you all know, we also broadcast live on holidays all the time because there are lots of lonely people out there, and we constantly want to make sure they're happy. And of course, this has been an incredible year for us as a family. We lost my sister last year, because she had stage 4 brain cancer. And many of your prayers kept her going 2 or 3 years longer than we thought she would. But then she finally succumbed. And I wanted to thank all of you for the prayers that you did there. I really appreciate that. We're going to take some questions from you. Do we have a microphone right there? If you have a question, why don't you just line up? Why don't you organize this, Tom? Get this all set up. And just fire away, and we'll do that. Tom, want to help her? Now let's turn this mic on. You're on.
It's on.
You're hot.
All right. I'll take it. Oh, okay. I'm Amber. I'm from San Antonio. I've called into the program like 7 times in the past 2 months.
You're the one who's taken over the show.
Yep. Like the ETs are taking over the world, or so we hope not. Anyway, my question is, how common are encounters with these men in black that are the scourge of the UFO field?
Now, that's an interesting question. I think they're pretty common. I don't know who they are, these men in black, whether they're government agents or they're extraterrestrial themselves. But I do know that a lot of people who have very serious UFO reports are visited by someone or some people, and they want them to keep their mouths shut. And that's pretty scary. Yes, sir.
What have you heard about the Todd C's a mutilation case in Pennsylvania? Happened in 2002.
Linda Moulton Howe, our investigative reporter who covers those stories for us, is totally baffled by these mutilation cases. Not only there, but all around the country. These cases are bizarre because incisions are made that are perfectly scalpeled, sometimes lasered. All blood is removed. It's not there. It's not there, so that means it was done someplace else.
I was talking about a human mutilation case.
Yeah, we'll get to that too. And people can't figure out just what the heck is going on with this. Now, in terms of the human mutilations, I think one of 2 things are happening. I think that there could be a cult involved in many of these, and a lot of sick people out there. But on those cases, again, that are so questionable in terms of how things were done, the same thing is probably happening. I don't think it's a government experiment. I think they're extraterrestrials. What I can't figure out is why in the heck do they bring the carcasses back and just dump them or leave them, human or animal, almost as if they're trying to tell us something or scare us into seeing some of the things that they're doing to us. But it's bizarre. Tongues cut out, everything like that.
Hi, I'm Veronica from San Antonio. I want to thank you for making your way down here so I can spend time with my family and enjoy your show.
You're very welcome.
Also enjoy the Alamo, because I don't know if you know, Phil Collins contributed a lot of artifacts. He's a big fan of the Alamo.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. My question is, do you have any updates on Mel's Hole?
We almost found Mel's Hole years ago. We sent him an email. It was the only thing that was working at the time. And we did get a response back from him that said, hey, yeah, I'd be interested in coming back on the show. I'll get back to you in a couple weeks. And then he disappeared. The email no longer works. It keeps getting bounced back. And nobody knows what the heck has happened to him. Nobody knows about the hole. Nobody knows about Mel. Strange, strange case. But we'd love to follow up on that. If anybody knows where Mel is, have them get a hold of us.
I'm Monty from San Antonio.
I know you, Monty.
I talked to you about 2 weeks ago. Remember you asked me how to get to the Alamo from the airport? I was talking about Donna Douglas. I danced with her. And then you said we were going to Del Rio. You said we. And then you went on to the next caller before I could ask you why you were going to. I said, what the hell is he going to Del Rio for? And I Googled it on their Chamber of Commerce. I was like, oh my God, it's going to a UFO festival in my own backyard. And I knew you were going to pass my ranch. I have a 2,000-acre ranch.
Are you the one who put the sign up?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
They told me you were coming by it late at night, so I took it down. They told me to take it down and just bring this.
We were looking for that sign last night. So, but you took it down then.
Me and my friend Ken Hawkins, we put it up and we cut out some aliens and.
Well, tell your neighbor we're sorry for busting into their house and.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's just all I wanted to tell you. Thanks.
That's a pretty nice ranch you have there.
Hi, just tell me your name and where you're from.
Hi.
When he's done.
Yeah. How much are you worth, anyways, Monty? Keep lining up if you have questions.
Hi, I'm Barbara from Pleasanton.
Hello, Barbara.
Hi. Could you talk a little bit about your work on the power grid?
Yes. As you know, I'm obsessed with trying to insulate our power grid. We as a nation cannot survive if that power grid goes down, either from an X-flare from the sun or an EMP attack from some rogue nation. An EMP attack is detonating a nuke in the atmosphere, and that electromagnetic pulse affects all the electricity and power grids. Back in the 1800s, there was an event called the Carrington event from a large X-flare from the sun. Well, in those days, the only thing really had for electricity was the telegraph system. That was cooked, completely cooked. Can you imagine what would happen if an X-flare that size hit us today? We'd be out of luck. I was at a drugstore, I was at a Walgreens a couple years ago, and their power was out just at Walgreens. And
He has it, right?
all right, well, give us time. Not yet, not yet. And the power went out at Walgreens, and they were trying to do things by hand and memory. First of all, most young kids, I don't know if you knew this or not, they can't add and subtract without a computer. They can't do it in their heads like we were taught. They're out of luck. So they're trying to figure out how to do this. The lines were getting longer and longer. Finally, the manager said, I'm going to have to close. We can't do this. It was at that point I realized that if this power grid is real and goes down, we're up a creek. So we found a couple special guests, F. William Maloof and William Forstchen, who have wrote a couple books, A Nation Forsaken and 1 Second After. And we've teamed up with them to try to get people in Congress to pass legislation. It would only cost $2 billion to insulate our grid against one of these 2 episodes. That's nothing for what they spend. Nothing. And we're going to keep pounding away, and we're going to get this done because, folks, I'm telling you, one day, something of the 2 episodes I just mentioned will happen. And if this grid is not insulated, we are through as a nation. You see what happens when weather knocks out power for 3 days. People can't handle it. They rush the stores. Some stores get looted. I was in Ferguson, Missouri. We'll talk about that in a moment, just a few months ago. So we've got to, as a nation, insulate our power grid. We've got to get that done. And we're not going to stop until we do. Yes.
My name is Mary. I'm from San Benito, Texas.
Hello, Mary.
And I want to thank you in behalf of everybody, I believe, for your kindness. You're very kind to people that you have on your show and that call in. And for all the insomniacs of the world, such as myself, we really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you don't need one of these shock jocks at night screaming at you or screaming at guests. I want our guests to talk. I want them to feel comfortable. Look, I may not believe, and when people ask me, do you believe all that stuff? My answer to that is, it doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what you believe. And that's what I try to do with our guests. I mean, I could all night long argue with our guests about everything they're talking about. Everything. And it doesn't get us anywhere other than you're going to hear me shouting. And sometimes when I ask a question, I'll get an email from somebody who says, let them speak. And I got to email them back and say, it's a talk show, not a speech. But I try to let people talk and express their views without interjecting and putting them down.
I think you do more good than you know.
Well, I hope so. Thanks. Thanks.
My question is about your new book, about the disappeared Malaysian
Someone is
airliner.
Hiding Something, which is a book we wrote with actor and researcher Richard Belzer and David Wayne. Comes out in a couple weeks. It's about the missing Malaysian plane 370, which is bizarre. It's bizarre. And they had the book 3/4 written, and they had heard my show where we talked about a couple other possibilities of what might have happened to that plane, so they wanted that included. So we wrote a couple chapters to add into it, but it's a great story of all these possibilities of what may have happened to this missing plane. Look at how quickly they found that Air Asia flight. The black boxes, 58 people. Sadly, there's still a lot down in the water, but they found it. Debris everywhere. This one, gone. Really weird. Yes, sir.
My name's Juan Hinojosa. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I listen to your show through the Coast to Coast Insider Club.
Thank you.
So I'm never up late enough to call in live, but I had this experience, and I've never got an explanation for it. I wonder maybe you cover something. Maybe I missed the episode. But when I was about 15 or something, I was at a scout camp, and we had a bunch of scout leaders that day. I think they were doing like adult leader training or something. And we were out there, and it was in San Antonio, and there's these like lights, like lightning, like 360 all around you. And I thought I was having a stroke or something. I thought it was some kind of problem with me, but everybody was experiencing it. It was like lightning, but like at ground level all around you, split second, just real quick, like lightning. And some of the scoutmasters were like, oh, it's the satellite's taking pictures. And I'm like, I don't think they put flashes on those things. I haven't had an experience like that ever again, and I've never heard anybody repeat an experience like that. I don't know if you have.
We had a guy on, what was about 3 months ago, Tom, who talked about ball lightning.
Yes.
And it's an incredible phenomenon that on this planet, balls of electrical lightning that can pass through houses and windows, by the way, can literally kill you if they hit you. And it's out there. A lot of people have mistaken them for UFO sightings, but it's a real Earth phenomenon of electromagnetic charges that look like a ball, and then they just shoot out. And they go everywhere, and that's probably what you're experiencing. Yes, sir.
Hello, George. It's an honor for you to be here. My name's Daniel, and I'm from Fort Worth.
Hello, Daniel.
So I have a premise that I'd like to see if you might be able to share some insight for.
Okay.
The classical model of physics has some issues that it came across, which became known as the ultraviolet catastrophe, which eventually led to the emergence of a new model of physics, which we can understand more specifically as quantum mechanics. When it comes to the nature of subjects such as ufology, cryptozoology, and other metaphysical and paranormal related issues, what sort of ultraviolet catastrophe might take place in these areas that may represent a more accurate, appropriate model for a unified understanding or unified theory or field of what we're dealing with overall?
Is there anybody a physicist in the audience? Daniel, I wish I could answer that one. That's way over my pay grade. But that's something we'll try to ask. You got to call in when Michio Kaku's on one day. He'd be able to give you the answer I think you're looking for. Which, reminds me of a quick story with old Albert Einstein. Albert used to give speeches quite a bit, always dressed up in his tuxedo. He's sitting in the back seat of his limo one day, going to another speech, and he told his driver, you know what, I'm exhausted. I cannot do this one more time. I can't do it. He said, I want you to do it. You look like me. Got the big white hair and everything. Let's just exchange outfits. And he said, no, Mr. Einstein, I can't. He says, just go up there and talk a little bit and answer a few questions. It'll be 10, 15 minutes tops. I'll stand in the back. So they exchange clothes, they go to the event, and the driver is on stage pretending to be Albert Einstein. And he gives this little speech, and then they're doing a little Q&A, and during the Q&A, a guy stands up and says, Mr. Einstein, tell me exactly your theory behind E equals MC squared. The driver looks around and goes, I can't answer that, but my driver in the back can. Go ahead.
My name is Anessa. I'm visiting from Wisconsin. And I do a little podcast with a couple of friends that talks about aliens and fact or fiction. And something that we've noticed is a lot of other countries like Chile, Canada, Britain, they're all more open with discussing sightings and everything about UFOs and aliens and that sort of thing. And we noticed that the United States is very secretive. They don't want to really expose anything, and anything that they put out there is covered in black Sharpie for all of 5 words on a page. And so we were wondering, or I was wondering, what are your thoughts on why the United States is so much more secretive about discussing the topics of UFOs and the possibility of extraterrestrials?
They're afraid of a couple things. One is, of course, losing control of people. I think if a lot of people truly believe that we have brothers and sisters on other planets, government believes they're not going to listen to us anymore. Free energy and things like that to help us. Medicines and ways to prevent illnesses. And I just think governments just don't want all that known to us. I have talked to Steve Bassett, of course, who has made this his mission to get government disclosure. I said, Stephen, it's never going to happen. Government disclosure is not going to happen. It's going to come from whistleblowers, people from within who tell us something. And, he just keeps plowing ahead, God love him, trying to get government to disclose, but I don't think it's going to happen that way. Where's the cute little baby I hear, by the way? Let's bring the cute little baby up on stage for a little bit. Where's the baby? I know it. I know you're out there, baby. You want to bring the baby up? Let's interview the baby for a minute. Come on, bring the baby up.
Bring the baby. Bring the baby.
Where's the baby? Oh, the baby's way up there. I guess you can. How old? 9 months. Boy or girl? What's his name? Duke? Hey, Duke. Hi, Duke. Hey, Duke, can you be quiet when I'm talking? Thanks, Duke. Yes, go ahead.
Eddie Esparza, Brackettville, Texas. Home of the Alamo Village. I just want
Duke.
I just wanted to ask, with the Smithsonian coming forward now with the Giants and Air Force now finally admitting an open part of partial Blue Book project, and as Mr. Jones says, that the elitists are pretty much doing it out. They've gotten so bold that they're just doing it in our face now. I mean, how do you feel, or that they're coming to us as far as showing us what they're doing now?
Well, they've got this attitude of we can do anything we want now. And what he's talking about is the discovery of skeletal bones of giants that many people, Steve Quayle included, have talked about on our program and on their own, that this country once had 8 to 10-foot giants roaming the planet, as the Bible had depicted a long time ago. And, you know, institutes don't want you to know that because, I don't know, I think for some reason they don't want you to believe what's in the Bible and what's out there. But we're getting the word out one way at a time. How many of you were at the panel earlier? A lot of you. Yeah, I was talking about the Hebrew Torah, and apparently they have found my name in it. Okay. Yeah. And they're investigating it now because that's really bizarre. I'm curious on that. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Robert Rodriguez, and I'm from Del Rio. The only native,
you sure
I guess.
Came a long way.
Yes, I sure did.
2.5 hours back to the airport.
There you go. My is just a comment. Back in '83, I was a paramedic, and we were coming back. I had an RN on board. She was a supervisor. I was a supervisor. We had another female paramedic. We witnessed a UFO on the way back. And we stopped off the highway, and we saw it for about 35 minutes. And we got back, we reported it to my superiors, and they just told me to be quiet.
It is breathtaking, though, when you see something like that.
Which is understandable. But, you know, I've called MUFON and, you know, try to communicate with them, and they don't even seem interested in it. So, you know, who else can I tell
you
my
could
story
drop,
to?
you know, Peter Davenport at the National UFO Reporting Center. You just Google that. He'll pop up. He's very good at taking down information and data. He comes on our show weekly and gives periodic reports on that.
Thank you.
Yep. You look like you may have served for us in the military. Did you?
Yes.
Well, thank you. Well, round of applause for him. And for everybody. Hey, by the way, everybody else who served in the military, stand up if you can again. Look at that. Let's give everybody a look at that. Woo! Who was in the Navy with me, huh? Marines. Air Force. Army. Beautiful. Coast Guard. Yeah. National Guard. That's great. Thank you. That's amazing. That's got to be the highest percent of any place we've been. And thank you again, sir, for serving. What branch were you in?
Navy.
Good for you.
Mr. Noory,
Aye, aye, sir.
My name is Ken Hawkins. I come with money. I didn't know anything about what was going on, but I would like to tell you that in '06, we got a patent on a hydrogen generator, 9076676. In this generator, if you burn a ton of coal, you get the regular heat, the BTUs. If you run it through our patented process, you get the same amount of heat, and then you take the hydrogen at one end, the CO, CO2, the greenhouse gases, move them downstream into another burner, and you get 2 more times the yield.
That's amazing. Now, are you going to be able to develop this, or are they trying to stymie you?
We had it developed by a German and a Russian. They funded us while we got that going, and they backed out about 3 years ago, and that's good because now I own the patent fully. And while we're waiting on our funding to come through, I got a Generac generator. This is a backyard generator, and run it on hydrogen, so you don't have to worry about the grid going down. You don't have a fuel bill, and you won't have electric bill.
Good for you.
Until they get it off of the grid.
Good for you. That's a great idea. When do you think you might be able to get that public if you get the funding?
We're looking for our funding coming in Monday.
How much is the funding?
About $200 million.
Tom, write a check.
I'll get to you later.
You got a shot at getting $200 million?
Well, I have a little more. But anyway,
I'm in the wrong business.
The thing that we're trying to do right now is make it available to everybody so that they don't have to worry about that grid. There's not been a new coal-fired power plant put in existence in the last 8 to 10 years.
You're right. You're right.
There is also a controlling factor, especially in San Antonio. In 2016, the Dealey power plant's going to shut down. That's going to take a 30–40% increase in all electric bills in San Antonio. So we hope that we'll have this ready to go, about 90% done right now, and with the additional funding coming this next week, we'll have it finished. In
Good for you. Let's hope you pull that off. Yeah. That's great. For all of us, that's great.
Thank you.
And thanks again for serving.
Give me your name and where you're from.
Yes, sir.
I'm Kenneth Dudley from Houston, Texas. I live down the street from NASA. I became a UFO investigator about 6 years ago, and I need to talk to Peter Davenport because he's the reason why I became a UFO investigator.
Yes, he is.
Okay, I was at a missile base, the Utah Launch Complex, in October 1973, and the base's airspace was broken by UFOs. A similar situation to what the officers told
Robert Hastings.
Robert Salas at the UFO Nuke press conference in Washington, D.C. I think it was 2010. So I've hooked up with Robert. I've started my own investigation thanks to Peter Davenport, who I'd like to debate on your show sometime. And right here, I'm going to give this to you, but this is the affidavit from Jerome C. Nelson, one of the officers that testified before the CNN at the press conference. He was at Roswell, New Mexico in 63 and 64 and states the base was invaded 6 to 10 times by UFOs. That's the same winter that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And what I'm telling you is, I think the reason why John F. Kennedy was assassinated was because Roswell, New Mexico was invaded, and it was an ongoing conflict between these aliens and the American military. It's covered up by the CIA and the Air Force. I've hooked up with counterintelligence through NASA and pretty much gave them the report. They reviewed it, and they passed it on to the heads of NASA. So this is the proof right here that Roswell was invaded.
There were some that believe that Kennedy may have been killed, right? Give it to Tommy if you would. That some may have been killed exactly because of that. Good work. Is that individual still alive, that guy you just mentioned? Okay. And contact numbers are there and stuff? Hastings I can get to. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Hi, George.
Hi.
Jennifer from Fort Worth, Texas. Two things, comment and a question. I have to tell you that I am so grateful for you. You are the voice that we don't get to hear anywhere else, okay? And yes.
Thank you.
And I must say, the quality of the guests you have on the show, the quality of the guests that you bring to the show are just superlative. Linda Moulton Howe is amazing. L.A. Mazzulli, Stephen Greer, Stephen Bassett. Thank you for bringing on Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, who was blasted out of Australia for having some.
Great girl. She just lost her.
Objective scientific views on vaccine that are against what the big pharma wants us all to believe. So thank you for bringing those guests out, because we do not hear them on the mainstream media. My question for you is this. I know that you have some real strong thoughts about disclosure. However, I have to wonder, if you look at what we see on TV right now, in addition to your TV show, which I don't know if people know that you have your own TV show, Beyond Belief, on Gaiam TV, which is just wonderful as well. But it seems to me that I have to wonder if there isn't some type of slow effort for disclosure. If you look at the TV shows that we're seeing right now, there are at least 5, 6, 7 different ones on the alien agenda and UFOs. Also with the Sirius Project, our Paragon, and the Disclosure Project, where we got to see last year in 2013 the citizens hearing, and there was really two plus days of compelling testimony, and the former members of Congress who presided over that hearing really were compelled by much of it. And now with the release of the, albeit blacked out, documents from Project Blue Book, do you think that we are in a mode of some kind of slow release of information to move us toward disclosure.
One would think that with what's happening right now, that they're slowly trying to prepare us for disclosure. I think there's another issue at stake, maybe a little more nefarious. I think they're releasing this information because I don't happen to believe that all ET races are good ones. I think this universe is made up of great beings and not so great beings. Good, bad, angels, devils. And I think one of the reasons they may be trying to get us prepared is that maybe they know something we don't yet that we should. And that a race of beings could come down here. See, I happen to think that all these abduction cases, I don't think good aliens do that. I think this is being done by a different race of ETs that have their own agenda. And as David Jacobs has always said, it ain't a good one. So that could be one of the things they're doing. But I still don't think we're going to have direct government disclosure. Maybe this is their little way of telling us without telling us. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Tim, and I personally owe you a great thanks, Mr. Noory. Your kindness and your understanding, I have been personal witness to of how much that affects personal lives. And I have to thank you personally for that. And I don't think that you will ever appreciate personally how much good you really do. But I want you to know you do it. Second, come on, let him know. Second, I'm from Wyoming. And in Wyoming, we don't have a lot of people, but we got a lot of space. And having UFOs and mutilations is just part of life in Wyoming. But we don't call them aliens, we call them spooks. Because nobody's sure where they come from, but they seem to home in on you went to mountains. So where they come from, that's where they go back to. And just, why do we think they're aliens?
You know, a lot of people think they're homebred, that they're from this planet. But you're right. I don't know, that alien phrase has been around a long time. A long time. I'd like to be called an ET myself, I guess. Yes, sir.
What's up, George? I'm actually from Del Rio. My name's Fetz. I live in Austin now.
You sound like you've been on the radio before.
No, I've been on your show. Yeah, once I talked about Maria Orsic.
As a guest or as a caller?
No, a caller.
Okay.
Yeah. I think one of the scariest and yet probably makes the most sense to me situations is the Dulce, New Mexico underground base situation where Phil Schneider, which was really brave, and he was later
cost him his life.
Later suicided for that. And Carrie Cassidy, Project Camelot, is currently doing some research with Captain Mark Richards, and that research is really provocative and again really frightening. There's a lot of testing on humans, genetic engineering, and that's. I kind of wanted to know what your personal take on the Dulce, New Mexico situation was in the 70s, and whether or not you really believe, or what you think might actually have occurred, and whether or not the U.S. government invaded this, alleged underground alien base.
Well, and the question is too: is it a government structure down there, or is it an ET-related structure down there? We really don't know. It is an unbelievable area that has gotten so many incredible UFO reports of people seeing these objects coming and going inside of the mountain, and then they're gone. There's definitely something down there. People all around this planet continue to hear strange hums and sounds. To me, that sounds like construction and dynamiting down below as they continue to build these structures and facilities. Not sure whether we invaded it or not, but I am sure there's something there. Who controls it, who owns it, I don't know. It's a great story.
Anybody else?
before we do the meet and greet, and I promise you, I'm not leaving until the last one of you has come up and either gotten a picture or a little signing or stuff. Where's my Sharpie pen? Is it over there? Okay. Then I'll be coming down. Do you want to do this song or what?
If we can get him to do it. Go.
Can we hear a run through of the music first before? Do you want me to sing a song? That's not it. Wrong song.
It's YouTube, so maybe it's a commercial first.
That's your Too Good to Be True.
Ruben. What happened?
Where did that come from?
Did you tell him, what song did you tell him, Ruben?
You're just too good to be true. I don't know the words to that one. Can't take my eyes off of you. Who sang that song? Frankie Valli, that's right. I can't sing with his pitch.
I don't want you to try. Don't.
No.
Why don't you just sign some autographs?
Oh, you want to sign autographs? But they wanted me to sing.
But
Tom.
the music's not there. What can I tell you? Can he seriously hear me? Can't Help Falling in Love. Can you find that on YouTube?
The karaoke version.
The karaoke version.
We don't want to hear Elvis singing in the background. You didn't expect to get this when you decided to come out here, did you? This is a great play. How's the events been going on, by the way? Great? Did you listen to Jim Mars? He is unbelievable.